What an absolutely brilliant idea.
No matter how many different camouflage patterns they tried, the enemies were still always able to see them. To solve this issue, the government came up with a new special camouflage pattern called Epstein List, which allowed
No one could see it, especially high-ranking government officials. This, as the story of the decade, just became that much more confusing. This, as we have some very interesting statements from Epstein's former lawyer, Mr. Dershowitz, that is coming out and arguing for some very interesting things, as it looks like the FBI is doing almost everything other than getting justice from high-ranking predators out there in our society right now that are still on the loose, hunting and hurting small children. All of this is happening as we're going to take a look here at all the latest reports here, as allegedly there's anti-Semitic pierogi denier. What is going on here? As we have some very interesting statements from Epstein's brother, some interesting actions from Prince Andrew, as this whole entire saga is just becoming more and more wild. We're going to be getting into that and a lot more all here on this independent media broadcast. And if you appreciate that, and if you appreciate our steadfast ability to be able to talk about this for over 15 plus years, subscribe. Click the notification button, as of course adulthood and paying your tax dollars to predators that wanted to see you eugenicized is something that a lot of people didn't realize was going to be in the cards for 2025. As of course that mass realization is upon us, as there's a great awakening here, as we were previously promised that we were going to see the shutdown of the FBI and we were going to see it as a museum. Now the FBI is expanding and getting a brand new government building, and also now going to have its own office in New Zealand. Yeah, that's happening right now, as there are now multiple recommendations on the desk of Pam Bondi, which is now this weird kind of Bermuda Triangle type of desk, a magic desk, where arrest referrals just seem to magically disappear, just like the Epstein files, as of course we are now finding out that there is a criminal referral to the DOJ to go after former FBI Director Christopher Wray and even Tim Pool, who is a big supporter of this administration, says, I'm going to hold my breath here, as a lot of people are very frustrated with the lack of arrests, the lack of prosecution here, as the FBI has announced that they have gone after 80 low-level, low-life predators over the past few days, as the vast majority of people are responding to that saying, yeah, but what about the high-ranking, high-level predators still out there in our society? As people are saying, hey, yeah, okay, that's nice, but what about the Epstein list here? Hey, where are you guys when it comes to some of the most powerful people in this world and your kind of hypocritical response and your lies and all of the things that you have not kept your word on? As of course we were told, we're going to get the Epstein files, and now we're being told to forget about it. We're told to, of course, not think about it. And we're told to, of course, yeah. It's not important anymore. You're just a worrying weakling if you are still bringing this up and no longer a Trump supporter. And again, the responses here are going to be something that's going to be consistent here until we actually get some legitimate justice, legitimate answers. As J.D. Vance recently went on a podcast, and as Michael Tracy points out, he went on the Ruthless podcast, which is, according to him, hosted by a Republican PR operative, as not one question was asked about Epstein, as this is the issue that is dominating U.S. politics for the past month. Instead, they talked about football, hiking, and Sydney Sweeney. Yeah, seems a little off here, as of course there's been a lot of deliberate obfuscation efforts here, as we also have to now remember Ghislaine Maxwell was just given an extremely cushy transfer to Club Fed, a jail that, by the way, has no video cameras, has no surveillance recordings, by the way, as she was very handsomely rewarded with an upgrade to her prison sentence, as she, of course, has now been moved from Florida to Texas, a place that is far more easier on her, far more convenient, right after the Trump administration and the Deputy Attorney General of the United States interviewed her. As a lot of people are saying, who made this decision to transfer her, to reward her, to give her this very lenient federal prison where there is minimum security and they're pretty much able to live life almost as normally as they would on the outside. As a lot of people are saying, hold on, we're rewarding these people now? Have there been any arrests? Have there been any prosecutions? Has there been any accountability to some of the most powerful people that these people had associated themselves with? And nope, we don't have any of that. And this is why we have now resorted to, of course, reiterating the statement on my shirt here that says, trust God, not government. A shirt that you could get on the bestpoliticalshirts.com. We still have a lot to talk about, and we're going to be talking about a lot, specifically with the very kind of eye-opening, weird, wild, kind of, I would say, disgusting statements by Epstein's former lawyer, Dershowitz. We'll get into his comments in a little bit. Before we do, we wanted to remind you that speaking up and being able to represent yourself and your truest version of yourself is a very freeing thing. And that's why I can't recommend the bestpoliticalshirts.com. This is the way to fully express yourself. As, of course, if you want the shirt that I have on right now, you type in God into the search bar right here, and bada bing, bada boom. It pops right up. You could get it. You could support yourself. You could support us. This is the perfect way to meet like-minded individuals. This is the perfect way to get to know people, to give people a goof, to give people a laugh. As again, this women's sports one, I mean, this is just top-notch type of next-level trolling that I cannot recommend enough. We have a lot of very funny shirts. We have a lot of Epstein shirts. We have a lot of shirts that truly do highlight the kind of severity and insanity of the current situation that we are all living under. Again, thebestpoliticalshirts.com, go there. Even if you're not planning on buying anything, just scrolling through it will give you definitely a big goof, a big laugh here. Now, let's go back to this transfer of Maxwell, as we had the Deputy General Todd Blanche just do an interview with her. And again, I want to see the transcript. I want to know what in the world is going on here, as of course it appeared that Maxwell wasn't eligible for such a transfer unless someone granted her the waiver at the Bureau of Prison Policy, which states that anyone who had misconduct with a minor is not able to, of course, get these transfers. Now, Maxwell is accused of participating in abuse of minors, and now she will be housed at a very low security level institution without even a waiver being needed to be done here. As a lot of people are saying, wait, this is highly unusual. How does this happen, as we have people who are familiar with these type of cases and situations saying that they have never seen anything like this in their life? And who pulled the strings here? As now there's talks about Donald Trump potentially pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell, something, of course, that was a topic of discussion during his first presidency, as now a lower security prison with no security cameras is making a lot of people here talk about how there could be a lot of foul play here coming up here, as a lot of people are seeing this as a form of leniency. But why are we showing her leniency? What was said here during this type of meeting that happened with the Department of Justice? So far, we don't know anything because the government has been extremely tight-lipped about everything. As now, Alan Dershowitz is coming out and arguing, yeah, no way Epstein was affiliated with the Mossad, and he wasn't a predator of children because he only liked them at 16 years old. Yeah, a 66-year-old man who had a thing for girls with braces, allegedly, just stopped at 16. Okay? When there's multiple reports from multiple victims, as well as the kind of very creepy, disgusting behavior exhibited by Jean-Luc Bernet, a man who also met his end in a prison when the cameras just magically stopped working, and he allegedly also self-exited himself from this life. Again, I don't buy that story as well, but it was talked about how Jean-Luc Bernet provided over 1,000 children to Jeffrey Epstein. And again, Epstein was around a lot of very young children. Now, you think this guy, who, even according to the government's official version, consumed huge amounts of inappropriate adult video content of minors, you're telling me he just magically stopped at 16? I don't buy that. This guy was moving around billions of dollars. This guy was literally able to do anything and everything he wanted with the most powerful people in this world. He was never held accountable for it. And you're telling me the guy with all the money in the world, with the largest homes in states, with private jets, with private islands, hanging out with all the celebrities, with all the Silicon Valleys, hanging out at Harvard, stopped at age 16 when he clearly had a problem and was infatuated and was hurting small children. Again, listen, a predator of that means, who's that powerful, who has now allegedly 11 terabytes of children in adult videos. You know what I'm trying to say here. You're telling me, Dershowitz, you're telling me that this guy just magically stopped at the age of 16 and wasn't a child predator, right? You're telling me that's the case here, really? And absolutely, it's not just that, but he absolutely wasn't Mossad. What? Really? Interesting.
Tough issue. Look, let me make 2 points that will be very controversial, and you may disagree with them completely.
Yeah, very controversial because, again, even Pam Bondi talked about he had thousands of tapes of children being hurt in adult manners. And now you're telling me, oh, no. He was watching, babies. He was watching children. He had all the tapes. He had all of them downloaded everywhere. But, yeah, he was able to do it. He was able to do anything. But no, he stopped at 16. Yeah, right. I don't buy this at all.
Jeffrey Epstein was not a pedophile. That term has a specific meaning. It means people who are sexually attracted to prepubescent girls or boys. That is.
How do you explain the content that was found on those hard drives? You're telling me he wasn't attracted to minors when he had all that content with minors, when he had minors all around him, when Jean-Luc Bernet, another prolific predator of children, was his bestie, his best friend that he routinely hung out with and went to France with and hung out with.
11, 12 years old.
There was children that were younger, by the way, from everything that I even confirmed myself.
That's the definition of all psychiatrists and of the law. Epstein was interested in 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds. He was.
Yeah, I like how he started at 16, 17, 18. Again, let's just take it at face value. A 66-year-old being with a 16-year-old, I think, is repugnant and wrong. And in some states, totally legal. Let's just be honest with ourselves. That's why he's saying it. Why is he trying to clear up a guy who clearly had very strong urges and needs to be with children? You're telling me, you're telling me, no. It was only 16-year-olds. He was only attracted to 16. Get out of here. Get the hell out of here. I'm not buying this at all. And if you're lying about this, what else are you lying about? We'll see.
He was a bad person, did terrible, terrible things. The word pedophile is not a correct description of what he was.
That's a lie. I don't buy that at all. That's not what a lot of people around him said. That's not what a lot of the witnesses said. And it's pretty clear here. Children were trafficked at an extremely young age here and abused and hurt here. I mean, it's pretty clear here.
Number two, he was not a trafficker. Traffickers make money by selling and enslaving girls. What he did is he just went and gave them to very prominent people that he built extortion and compromise on, and then they usually extorted it. Now, granted,
there might have not been a financial transaction here. Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, Reid Hoffman, Kevin Spacey, or others, Peter, whatever, they didn't hand money and said, okay, give me that. I mean, that probably didn't happen here. But let's be honest ourselves, there was probably some sort of blackmail operation at play here where maybe there was even politicians that thought, oh, maybe they're 18, or they were told they were 18. Even then, it's like, whoa, wait, what? Again, no money transferred here. Sure. Again, Epstein was a billionaire. He didn't need money transferred here. He had all the money in the world, and no one still knows where he got all that money. He got it from Les Wexner. I wonder why he's not being interviewed and questioned throughout all of this by the Trump administration and the Trump DOJ. Huh. Interesting. Of course, he's still around. Why are we questioning him?
Selfish guy who was having sex with all these, sexual contact at least, with all these 16, 17-year-olds, and maybe lending them to people like Prince Andrew. We don't know for sure. But
maybe lending them to Prince Andrew. Interesting here, as Prince Andrew reportedly is appalled that his name continues to be linked with Jeffrey Epstein, according to the Daily Beast. People are responding to this by saying, good. As other people are saying, gee, I wonder why that is. As, of course, this guy was literally talking about how he didn't have the ability to sweat, therefore he wasn't around Virginia Giuffre, who, by the way, recently, allegedly, took her own life here. Now, again, very confusing situation going on here that a lot of people are trying to make sense of. I do not for 1 second believe Dershowitz here, who, by the way, today is also claiming that he was denied a pierogi and therefore that is anti-Semitic.
But he was not a trafficker in the true sense of the word. That's why there's no client list.
There's no client list. Client list means money was transferred here. You don't need a client list when, of course, you're running a blackmail and extortion operation and you want them to do it. They're not going to have to pay you to do it. And then you have the list, and then you extort it, and then you go to these people and you say, hey, you carry out my agenda, an anti-American agenda. You carry out the interest of this special interest group, and you screw over your constituents. You do as we tell you to do, not like you promised and you campaigned on. And that routinely happens in America, and that's how our entire system is run.
There were no clients. And the other
there was no money being exchanged.
No, yeah, and that's what Glenn Beck kind of clarified here. And again, you didn't need the money. You got all the power and all the influence once, of course, they did the act. They did the deed.
Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah. And the other, he didn't work for the Mossad. I know that because I debriefed him when I was trying to make a deal for him back in 2006, 7. And he would have told me if he had a deal, if he was working for the government, because it would have helped him get a clear, better deal.
Yeah, he got an amazing deal. He got a sweetheart deal of a lifetime, and then his trust won the lottery and was awarded tens of millions of dollars. All a coincidence, all an accident here. As, again, when you look at everything that transpired here, there was even the prosecutor here who later became a part of Trump's first administration, Mr. Acosta, that then later came out and said, yeah, I was told to go easy on him because he was, quote, intelligence. Now, again, I do not buy what Dershowitz is saying here, as it's also important to note here, Dershowitz has argued previously to lower the age of consent. As clearly a lot of people are saying, hey, there's no way that you could tell us how specifically children need to be younger in order to have consent here, and then tell us, no. Epstein stopped at 16, 100%. He was the mystery man with billions of dollars, was able to do anything he wanted, but he just stopped at 16, even though he had a real addiction problem when it came to getting off to children, and again, sick, disgusting stuff here. I can't believe we're even discussing it. Listen, we're experiencing one of the biggest cover-ups ever in our lifetimes. And this cover-up here, I think only is going to get more sinister, more insane, more crazy. I'm going to do a separate video about Epstein's brother, and there's a new video of Trump talking about, young girls. I'll do a video about that. I disagree with Tim Pool. This goes deep down the rabbit hole, specifically when it comes to things like spirit cooking. I'll do a separate video on that. We broke that story. It was a very big story. It was a very important story. And I think all of this is personally related. That's just my 2 cents. Thank you so much for everyone who gets a t-shirt. Again, we got women's t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts, short sleeve t-shirts, tank tops, v-necks, you name it. We got it all on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. I'm walking around in Poland. People are like, oh, that's a cool shirt. I'm like, thank you. Dziękuję. Thank you for all your support. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more, all here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechange.